Rod Stewart went wild as he watched Scotland qualify for the World Cup for the first time since 1998. The noise in Glasgow was deafening as the killer blows from Kieran Tierney and Kenny McLean put Denmark to the sword, 4-2. Although Rod, 80, was born and raised in London, he is a lifelong Scotland supporter due to his Scottish father Robert, who was from Leith. Taking to Instagram, Rod shared a video of himself jumping for joy alongside Rolling Stones rocker Ronnie Wood. The singer threw his hands in the air in celebration before giving Ronnie a hug. Along with the Scotland national team, Rod is also a big Celtic FC supporter and even has a Celtic tattoo on his shoulder. Meanwhile, BBC Sport co-commentators Stephen Thompson and James McFadden, men who both knew pain playing for the Tartan Army, went viral for their gleeful reactions as their two stoppage time goals flew in on Tuesday night, over in Las Vegas. Ally McCoist let fly with his own ecstatic reaction and was left with a hoarse voice for his troubles. Man alive, I'm absolutely. Voice is gone. The Scotland legend began in a hilarious Instagram video, buzzing with a capital B, buzzing, capital B. Ah man, I'm on a Diet Coke. My voice is gone. Unbelievable lads, unbelievable. What a finish that was. I just can't believe it. I'm watching up there on a screen. It's remarkable. Absolutely remarkable. I'm just so happy, man. So happy. The win sealed Scotland's return to the World Cup for the first time since France '98 and continues the progress seen under Clark, who has already led his side to back-to-back European Championship berths to make himself the national team's most successful manager ever. Scotland captain Andy Robertson, who conceded the penalty that led to Denmark's first equalizer, described the occasion as one of the craziest he has been involved in. We are going to the World Cup. I can't believe it, he told the BBC's Kelly Cates, daughter of Celtic, Liverpool and Scotland legend Kenny Dodd. This could be the last chance I have of getting to the World Cup. I can't wait to get back to Liverpool and share a red wine with your dad. It's amazing. The manager's speech before the game was unbelievable. He went through the big moments down the years, like Serbia and Ukraine. Then he said, let's make it another one. The lads were quite emotional. To do it for him, the staff and our families. One of the greatest nights of my life. Scotland's players and supporters will now turn their attention to the World Cup draw, which takes place on Friday the 5th of December at the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C. at 5 p.m. The tournament, staged across the United States, Mexico and Canada from the 11th of June to the 19th of July, will be the biggest in history, with 48 teams involved. What followed after that magical night was something Scotland hadn't felt in decades. A collective breath finally released all at once, a national exhale after years of holding tension beneath the ribs. Streets that had watched disappointment after disappointment suddenly felt lighter, brighter, almost unreal. Every corner of the country, from the Highlands to the borders, felt the aftershock of euphoria. It wasn't just celebration, it was liberation. Rod Stewart's joy became a symbol of everyone's. People who saw his video understood immediately why it blew up so quickly. It wasn't polished or glamorized. It was the raw, electric joy of a man reconnecting with a piece of his heritage that lived deeper than his fame, his fortune, or his global identity. He was one of the millions whose hearts beat a little faster as the goals poured in. When the camera captured him, leaping next to Ronnie Wood, it captured something timeless. Two icons of music, two men who had performed in front of millions, suddenly stripped down to their childhood selves. There was no pretense, no performance, no celebrity polish, just the shared joy of witnessing history. Rod's hair, always a character of its own, shook wildly as he jumped, and Ronnie's laughter created the perfect soundtrack to the moment. The tiny details made the video unforgettable. The way Rod clutched at Ronnie's jacket as if he needed to hold another human to absorb the moment, the uncontrollable grin that refused to leave his face, the sparkle in his eyes that made him look decades younger. Viewers around the world, Scots and non-Scots alike, felt the emotional current running through the screen. In Scotland itself, the atmosphere was something people will talk about for the rest of their lives. In bars, the floorboards vibrated beneath thousands of stomping feet. Glasses clinked, voices cracked, and complete strangers locked arms as if they had known each other forever. Communities bonded instantly, the kind of bonding that only sport, tragedy, or triumph can create. Old men who had lived through every disappointment since 1998, men who had said, "I'll believe it when I see it," sat with heads in their hands, not from fear but from disbelief as history unfolded before their eyes. Many wept openly without shame. Young supporters who had only ever seen Scotland through heartbreak finally saw the spark of a golden moment. And children who were barely old enough to understand football felt the energy in the room and began forming their earliest memories around it. The emotion transcended simple joy. It was generational triumph, an emotional baton passed from grandparents to parents to children, as if saying, "This is what we've been waiting for. This is what it means to be Scottish." Even the players felt it. Andy Robertson's voice shook in his interview because he could feel the weight of the generations behind him. He wasn't just playing for himself. He was playing for millions of people who had dreamed of this long before he was born. The moment he talked about Kenny Dalglish and red wine wasn't just banter. It was symbolic. It connected Scotland's past heroes with its present. A passing of the flame that felt almost ceremonial. Fans understood instantly why Robertson seemed overwhelmed. The penalty he conceded earlier had nearly cost them everything, and when the goals came late, the relief mixed with triumph created an emotional cocktail few athletes ever get to feel. He looked like a man who had lived a lifetime in 90 minutes. Steve Clarke stood at the heart of it all. Quiet, steady, unfazed by noise, he had guided Scotland back to the world stage with a calmness that few managers possess. He didn't shout or beat his chest. He let his results speak for him. His speech before the match became the stuff of legend. Players later admitted they had never heard anything like it from him. He had taken them back through their history, reminding them of the near misses, the agonizing heartbreak, the moments they had overcome, the victories that defined this generation. Then he challenged them, "Make this night one of those moments." His words weren't just motivational, they were prophetic. The way Scotland played, with grit, composure, and a refusal to collapse even after setbacks, showed they had not only heard Clarke's message, they believed in it. Ali shouting in Las Vegas with his Diet Coke in hand, became the unofficial voice of the fans abroad. His rasping voice, the way he kept repeating "unbelievable" like he was trying to convince himself it wasn't a dream, captured how every Scot outside the homeland felt. Watching him was like watching your favorite uncle lose his mind at a family gathering. It was funny, heartfelt, and so deeply Scottish it almost hurt. His reaction became one of the most shared clips of the night, partly because people loved the humor, but mostly because they recognized the sincerity behind it. Ali had lived the heartbreak. He had seen good teams fall short, great players cry, and entire campaigns crumble. So when he saw Scotland break through, he reacted as only someone who had carried the weight of the jersey could. Across Scotland, the celebration didn't die down. It continued in living rooms where families stayed up long after midnight replaying the goals again and again. It continued in the streets, where people waving flags yelled "We're going to the World Cup" at passing cars, which honked back in celebration. It continued in pubs that kept the doors open until sunrise, playing everything from bagpipes to Rod Stewart's classics. Taxi drivers refused to take fares from tearful fans, telling them, "Away you go, enjoy the night." Teens climbed on top of bus stops, holding saltier flags like they were conquering heroes. Grandmothers who rarely watched football found themselves cheering with their grandchildren. It was a night where the entire country felt like one giant family. As the news spread, Scottish communities around the world erupted. In Canada, groups gathered in cities from Vancouver to Toronto waving flags and singing. In Australia, the time difference didn't stop fans from filling pubs before dawn. In Dubai, Scots marched outside bars in 30-degree heat. In New York, crowds spilled onto the sidewalks cheering for a team thousands of miles away. It wasn't just a qualification. It was a moment of national identity.